From the UNC School of Journalism and Mass Communication, covering Carolina in HD, this is Carolina Week.
Walking through South Campus, chances are you'll see holes in the sidewalk. Stealing bricks is a UNC tradition that helps students like Martha Tomaso keep a souvenir from her freshman year.
But it is like a little piece of me that I'll get to keep forever that's from UNC.
But someone has to replace that brick. And what does he think of this mischievous tradition?
I guess they're getting what they're paying for. I don't know.
Hal Saunders has worked at UNC for more than 30 years as a brick and stonemason. He and his crew replace between 20 and 80 bricks a day, mostly on South Campus.
In that area, that's what most of the bricks is being stolen.
But this tradition has its costs. Standing in the brickyard, Saunders estimates his team replaces more than 1,000 bricks a year, costing the university about $350. Stealing a brick from campus is easy. All you have to do is find a loose brick, wiggle it out, and make your getaway. Work orders requesting new bricks pour into Sanders' office.
Okay, old well, repair sidewalk.
Each one with a different classification and deadline.
Yeah, so I got 3 days to fix that.
And during his years at Carolina, he's fixed a lot. Just look at his office wall, covered in pictures.
That's me while working out in the field.
For Saunders, it's not about replacing stolen bricks. It's about building a legacy.
You see stuff that you done, then you say, that's cool, I did that.
And he'll get to look back at a lot more of his work, as long as the brick stealing tradition continues. In Chapel Hill, I'm Erin Wygant reporting.
A picture-perfect postcard, based on a real home. And living inside, 101-year-old Bernice Wade. She's been here on Gimghoul Road since 1944, tending her gardens for everyone to enjoy.
It's your way of being part of the world. As long as you garden, you'll never be lonely. You'll always have friends. You make new friends. You don't outgrow them.
For decades, Wade and her identical twin sister Barbara Stiles shared their gardens with the local community. But in June, Stiles passed away. After a quick illness, she died at home with friends and family.
From the time we were little, we did everything together.
Now in a season between blooms, Wade has to carry on. But as she said, gardeners are never alone. Her family of children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren extends on and includes some dear friends. Eric Fish is a research associate at UNC Chapel Hill, but that's not all he does. He's been the home's primary gardener for the past 9 years. And just like her real family, he felt Stiles' loss.
So many of us pass and with an unfulfilled life. In Barbara's case, it was completely full. We can see aspects of Barbara in the garden, I can at least. But we all miss her terribly.
Fish promised that the gardens are much more vibrant in the spring, but you don't have to take his word for it. The home itself is filled with paintings, photos, and even pop-up books inspired by the home and its grounds. Colorful, in bloom, and full of life. Wade shared a song a friend wrote about her and her sister titled "The Garden is Open." And just listening, you can feel the blossoms of spring are on their way.
They have brightened our world for nigh on a century, spreading their peace and love. Come in, please.
Despite tragedy, the garden continues to grow.
I would want her to know that I'm strong. I'm continuing to do what we used to do together. Make as many people happy as we have in the past.
In Chapel Hill, I'm Drew Kurzman reporting.
From England to old Mexico.
Meet 9-year-old Gonzalo. His mother doesn't speak English. Thanks to Carolina Conexiones, however, this is no longer an issue when they go to the hospital.
Our goal overall is to give patients a better experience in the children's specialty clinic to make them feel like they're welcomed and to open up all the resources that are available to them.
Carolina Conexiones started last fall thanks to Dr. Corey Flower and Claudia Rojas, coordinator for the UNC Center of Latino Health. Since then, student volunteers have helped about 700 Latino families navigate through their visits everywhere except the exam room.
Latina families will come into the clinic, we'll meet them in the waiting room, we'll kind of explain to them what our role is, and then we let the family in on what's going on with all of those conversations with the nurses, and then we can help call a medical interpreter whose domain is the actual consultation room with the doctor.
And is he on any medications?
The nursing staff is thankful for the program because the volunteers help speed up the process with the families. That helps Gonzalo's mom, who is willing to make a 2-hour drive from their hometown in order to enjoy the benefits Carolina Conexiones offers Spanish-speaking families.
I just like helping the Hispanic community because I know as I was growing up, I was always like an interpreter for my parents. And it's always nice to be able to help parents and make sure they understand what's going on with their children.
In Chapel Hill, I'm Carol Bono reporting.
When you walk past the quad, you'll notice something different in front of Wilson Library. For more than 90 years, this tree was deeply rooted in the Carolina experience. But the forceful wind and rain during Hurricane Matthew changed that, leaving many shocked.
I didn't think it would have been that bad here. If this had happened at, like, say, College of Charleston, that's understandable, but I didn't think it happened in Chapel Hill.
Just to give you an idea of how big this tree is, as you can see behind me, the roots are taller than I am. And some even had a name for the tree.
A lot of times we meet our friends in Asheville down here on the quad, and we designated the tree behind us as the Asheville tree.
The day before Hurricane Matthew made its way to North Carolina, Bechtel took this photo.
So I had my husband take a picture of me in front of the Asheville tree, and I think that might be the last time there was a picture in front of it.
She says the tree reminds her of her days at Carolina, and she didn't want to leave campus without trying to recreate that special photo. Less than 48 hours later, crews moved in to remove the downed tree. The university says it plans to plant another tree in its place.
It seems there's always something under construction in Chapel Hill, but now there's one project that stands out and that residents can't stop talking about.
We have a national brand, recognizable brand, very popular brand coming to Chapel Hill.
Carolina Square will include 3 buildings, a public square, and more than 200,000 square feet of office, retail, and residential space. The most significant part of Carolina Square will be the Target located on the first floor.
The Target takes up about half of the available retail space in Carolina Square, and that will serve as an anchor and hopefully will draw other retail businesses.
It's a $120 million project that will add 800 parking spaces, 30 of which will be designated with the red Target bullseye.
It's going to be so much more convenient than driving 20-25 minutes to Durham just to get the same things.
The project is expected to bring in more than $1.78 million in gross tax revenue and serve as the downtown area's only true grocery store. In Chapel Hill, I'm Katie Wilkinson reporting.
UNC senior Kaylee Waters is gearing up for Halloween, a night that she says has been 21 years in the making.
Well, I'm most looking forward to being 21 and actually getting into the bars.
Waters and other students will put their costumes on and flood Franklin Street Monday night to celebrate UNC's biggest night of partying. But businesses on Franklin Street have to do weeks of preparation to be ready for the crowds.
Last year, Halloween was our busiest day so far. Yep, in the 2.5 years we've been here.
Because of the big Halloween crowd, manager of Sup Dogs on Franklin Street, Lindsay Ewing, says that they will operate a little bit differently.
And we, implant different things that we don't normally do on a regular weekend for Halloween night.
Ewing says her restaurant will have people manning the doorways and that everyone will be ID'd at the door. They will also be using clickers to keep capacity in check. This year, the town of Chapel Hill will be implementing a few changes. Franklin Street will be closed from 8 p.m. until 10:30 p.m. In the past, the party ended at 11 p.m. Also, road closures on Franklin Street will take place east of Columbia Street and on Franklin Street at Raleigh Street. This revised traffic plan aims at keeping access to UNC hospitals open.
Everyone puts in full 100% effort into their costumes and into the night. You know, the teachers know Halloween's a big day, the students do. It's just a whole university effort.
And university officials say they want to keep the celebration local for the UNC community and area residents only and keep it safe.
Meet Susan Worley. Like millions of other Americans, she voted yesterday. But did she need an ID to vote?
No, nobody asked me for an ID. And in fact, there was a big sign up that said no voter ID required.
And Worley thinks that's the way it should be. But UNC senior Matthew Harris thinks ID laws are a good thing.
It's good to, prove citizenship when you come to vote. At the same time, I think efforts should be made to help those who are perfectly qualified but struggle in actually getting an ID.
No form of identification is currently required in North Carolina. But could voter laws in other states be discriminatory?
This is a map of voter ID laws in the U.S. The 7 blue states have the strictest laws. The red, orange, and yellow states have laws in place, but less strict. 18 states and D.C., here in the green, have no voter ID requirements. But what if your state does have a law? Well, that could be a problem for the 25% of blacks, 20% of Asians, or 19% of Latinos who don't have valid photo IDs.
UNC political science professor Dr. Kevin McGuire says the intent of the law is what matters.
If it was put in place specifically to try to keep non-whites from participating, then that would be very troubling, not only from a kind of democratic standpoint, but from a legal standpoint.
Worley says the ID laws aren't just racially discriminatory.
I think there's been a concerted effort to stop certain groups from voting, including minorities and people in poverty, felons.
But if and how these laws affect the election is yet to be seen. In Chapel Hill, I'm Caleb Waters, reporting.
A look upward, toward bronze with folds and brushes that form the Greensboro 4 statue, which stands on North Carolina A&T's campus. And this week, it's an early voting site, too.
So do you typically vote here at this location?
Yes. But to some, this location is more than just a statue.
We were all very close friends.
Jesse Jackson, a civil rights leader and 2-time presidential candidate, stopped by the site just to visit. No campaigning.
Richardson died early on. McCain and Charlotte died last year. Ezell Blair and Joe McNeil, who was here yesterday, are still alive.
To reflect on his friends and what they did for the country.
It was a defining moment.
And African American families here know Jackson and that moment well. When David Richmond, Franklin McCain, Ezell Blair, and Joseph McNeil remained in their seats after being asked to leave a white-only lunch counter.
It was not the first time some people sat in, but here it took off and exploded into a movement.
A movement for more sit-ins across the nation and basic rights commemorated in this statue that still inspires pictures, smiles, and community.
After sexual assault, time is ticking.
Up to about 5 days we can collect evidence. Obviously the evidence is better the faster you come in, and most states actually just, their guidelines are 72 hours.
Sexual assault nurse practitioners collect evidence in a rape kit. The kit leaves out no details. One part of the exam involves plucking 50 head hairs and 50 pubic hairs from the patient to compare to any foreign hair found.
I think that would put people through a lot of pain. And when you've already been through something that's traumatic, I don't exactly want to cause you any more pain.
If you're sexually assaulted, you may end up here for up to 5 hours. Nurses collect DNA and photos, swabs are done, and blood and urine samples are collected. The patient will also have to leave behind clothes and underwear for evidence. Despite the grueling process, attorney Matthew Szynski says the sooner a sexual assault is reported, the stronger the case.
Evidence gets stale, people's memory gets foggy. It gets much harder to prove cases the older they get.
But according to the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network, about 2 out of 3 sexual assaults go unreported. One reason? not every victim wants to involve police. Director of the Orange County Rape Crisis Center, Irene Dwinell, says it's the victim's choice if and when to involve law enforcement.
On our end at the Orange County Rape Crisis Center are really invested in hearing you, whoever you are as a survivor, and helping you to get to a place that you feel good about what your next steps are.
But getting a rape kit done at the hospital doesn't mean you have to choose to prosecute. And choosing to get a rape kit done close to the time of the assault could give you more options in the future.
Comic-Con. It's more than just cosplay of your favorite characters. For local artists and writers, Comic-Con has become a place to connect with their communities and to get their names out there. Danny Miller of Carborough is an illustrator and co-owner of the Baxter Arcade. He says local support has made all the difference in his career, and it's clear he's got some fans in the Comic-Con community.
I mean, I got one of his Versus t-shirts that he actually got done.
Miller is best known for his art prints made for the television series The Walking Dead. But these locals not only want to profit from their success, they aim to make a difference. UNC alumni and comic book writer Jeremy Whitley decided to write his own series called Princeless because he didn't like the message that classic princess stories sent to young girls, especially because he has a young daughter of his own.
I wanted to have something that, still has a princess in it, but a princess who can take care of herself and do her own thing. So I wanted somebody that looked like my daughter and my daughter could look up to be a hero on her own.
Whitley's knack for writing strong female characters has paid off. Next year, he'll be writing Marvel's new The Unstoppable Wasp. He's one of the many at Comic-Con who proves that superheroes aren't just in the comics. They may be right in your hometown. In Durham, I'm Daniela Ocampo reporting.
Just half an hour from UNC, you can visit some adorable kitty cats. But beware, they're a little larger than your usual household pet. Welcome to the Carolina Tiger Rescue, an organization based in Pittsboro that's been rescuing wild animals for the past 40 years. 47 animals live here, ranging from big cats to small cats. Education Director Katie Cannon says most of the animals here share a similar past.
There are two common stories. One is that they were privately owned. A lot of our residents used to be in the hands of private citizens as pets. The other is we get a lot from places like roadside zoos that can no longer support themselves or have been closed down by the government due to inhumane conditions.
Sebastian here lived for the first part of his life as an attraction in a haunted house in Texas. Tarzan lived in the first floor of a hotel in Mexico when he was a cub. But the more he grew, guests became scared of him, so he was locked away in a tiny cage in the front of a hotel for 2 years. Some of the animals come from different parts of the country, but many of the wildcats come from North Carolina, which has very loose pet ownership laws.
In North Carolina, there is no legislation against the ownership of a non-native species. So in other words, you can legally own a wildcat, and not only that, you don't have to register it.
Cannon says that after a lot of treatment and care, the animals recover and start showing off their personalities. Like Carolina, kids often laugh at her because she moves like a cow. Although the rescue center can be fun for visitors, the way the animals got here is no laughing matter.
These guys don't belong in circuses, they don't belong in backyards, they don't belong in roadside zoos. They deserve the respect of that wild animal.
Change starts with education, Cannon says. From Pittsboro, I'm Sofia de la Guardia reporting.
On the beaches of northern Chile, sea lions are washing up on shore.
There's always dead bodies on the beach because they killed them.
That's Luis Patricio Duvo. He's lived near these waters his whole life.
The fishermen have to kill the sea lions because the sea lions come really fast to get the fish from the nets.
Clam diver Jose Samuel Guzman Salinas says the killings are normal in Chile.
If you ask them if they kill sea lions, they'll say no. They kill sea lions with dynamite, but they're not going to tell you. No one is going to tell you openly about killing them, so you need to go to Coquimbo.
Just a 15-minute drive away, Coquimbo is the center of the fishing industry. Amid the fish markets and fishing boats is Enrique Lopez Gonzalez. He is no stranger to killing sea lions.
Yeah, I had to do it. There were like 200, and they were messing around with the nets.
Lopez Gonzalez says killing them is sometimes necessary.
They come up to the boat, they flip it, they ruin the really expensive boat motors, and when they flip the boats, there's nothing you can do.
But some sea lions die unintentionally.
They get caught in the nets and drown because they can't get out and breathe. Fishermen cut them out, and then they float away.
He keeps a reminder on his wall about the dangers they pose.
A diver was working when he got attacked by a sea lion because the sea lion was hungry. And this was the result. 18 stitches.
It's an issue of life and death. Fishermen need to make a living, but sea lions need to eat. And the fishermen are saying the sea lions' appetites are getting out of control.
There are so many sea lions, like 20,000, and there are more sea lions than fish, which is a problem for fishermen because we can't fish.
Regional Manager Gerardo Cerda is part of the government agency in charge of protecting fishing and the environment, including tracking the sea lion population.
5 to 6 years ago, a large sea lion colony moved to the beach. The sea lions started feeding off the old fish the fishermen threw to the sea, leading to their population growth.
To increase the catch of fish while dealing with the growing sea lion population,
Some fishermen use the sound waves created by dynamite to scare off the sea lions. But this hurts animals in the area. It can even kill them.
in Chile, using dynamite while fishing is illegal. Still,
Even though there's clear proof of intentionality, there is no evidence to support this claim.
Cerda asserts most of the dead sea lions you see on the beach aren't from fishermen.
They die from natural causes. They get sick or they fight with each other, and they wash up on the beach. There's only a few cases where they die from fishermen.
Sad. It's sad to kill them because they need food like us, but they're causing us damage. It's us or them.
As the sea lion population grows, along with their appetites, the fishermen's catch shrinks even more, threatening fishermen like Lopez Gonzalez and their way of life.